G'day, welcome back. It is ESL Challenger League Season 47, Oceania, and hey, it's nice to be back, isn't it, Pilski? We had Asia last night, we've got Oceania and Asia tonight, and I feel like there has been a little bit of a... What's the word? We haven't seen a lot of Oceanic CS lately. You know, there's been a few changes going on. FlyQuest gone overseas. They've been doing pretty well. You know, and obviously BNK, big news for them is PZ out of the roster at the moment. So lots to talk about, lots to jump into, and it's exciting to be back for a little bit of more Oceanic Counter-Strike here for ESL Challenger League Season 47.
Yeah, I think, look, there's a couple of teams that we've seen have some, you know, cracks at some overseas competition. Some of them quite successful on the FlyQuest side of things. I think that's bringing a big smile to most people's faces, and a little bit of random criticism here and there, which is interesting. And then obviously you have your BNKs and your Roosters of the world who haven't been doing too fantastically overseas, as you mentioned on BNK's side of things, who will get to see play tonight. That's prompted a change, but I'm looking forward to seeing some of the teams in the sub-top as well, one of which we'll get to watch tonight. That is Arcade. You know, a couple of players that have been kicking around for a little while here, and I'm keen to see what their form is looking like against the BNK, who are fresh off the back of some changes, probably won't even have really had time to announce a fifth or play with a proper fifth yet, which gives Arcade a chance to maybe cause a BO1 upset here or there.
Yeah, potentially. I mean, look, I would say it's somewhat in the same vein as what we were talking about last night with the Tyloo game. It's still going to be a very, very tough matchup for Arcade to win. Even with PZ out of the picture, you know, Damio's been in great form for BNK lately. Obviously, you look at Hazza and Addict in particular as two players that are the kind of guys that can really take a game away from you if they're feeling it on any given map. And so I think there's still definitely going to be quite a hurdle to jump over for Arcade. But then again, this Arcade roster is one that kind of keeps me a little bit interested. I mean, I haven't really been able to get the opportunity to actually watch this team play a huge amount just yet. But when they were put together, I was, you know, a little bit excited to see what we were going to get from them. If you remember, they were called Vex initially, and there's been a couple of roster changes here and there. I mean, Damio in particular was, I think, a big loss for this Arcade roster, and he's incidentally gone into that BNK team. But either way, you know, you've got some players around this roster that have been kicking around a fair bit. I think, obviously, Apoc, Dud, Foggers, Kobe, that kind of core, they seem to have been playing quite a bit lately. I mean, Void's coming back as well into the picture, and I think it's TriPlus that rounds that roster out. And he's someone, again, that we sort of saw back in ANZ Champs have a little bit of success in his first couple of seasons as well. So it's not a roster really that I hate. You know, I don't hate any roster, let's be real. Let's just get that out of the way. But certainly not a roster that I'm too disappointed to see kind of kicking around. I think that it is a roster that can do a little bit of damage, but I don't know that it's at that point yet where I think they can really challenge the FlyQuest, the BNK, the Roosters of the world. And obviously, you know, that was maybe what the intention with this roster kind of was when it was initially formed. I think the idea was like, we're going to be a top 4 team in Oceania, but now you're kind of looking at it and saying, well, are you going to be able to do that without the likes of, you know, players, for example, like Damio, who I thought did add quite a lot of firepower to that roster. I think losing him, that is a big loss, but we'll have to see how they bounce back from that, and hopefully they're going to continue to do reasonably well in this season of ESL Challenger League. But just having a quick look at the standings myself, and they've got a bit of work to do, let's just say.
Yeah, which is why we're both kind of going for BNK here in terms of the predictions. I don't think anyone would be too surprised about that. I think for a team like Arcade, like, they're a bit of a developmental prospect for me. I think Kobe and Apoc Dart are both pretty solid players at this level. You know, Fox has been playing at this level for a little while and got some LAN experience and all that kind of stuff. I don't think we've really seen him, you know, show any kind of crazy outstanding form at like a tier 1 level domestically. Void, I would say the same. He's kind of like been average at a tier 1 level domestically back in the day, and it's been a little while since I've actually seen him actively play. But he's still pretty young. Like, when he was playing, he was very, very young. Like, I think it was only like 16 or something like that, 17, when he was actually playing on some, you know, Division 1 teams in Oceania, and now he's back to play again. And look, we've highlighted Apoc Dud here. The reason why I picked him as the Qiddiya player to watch today is just simply because I think he's kind of an impact player on the aggressive rifle. He can pick up AWP as well. I think if Arcade are going to get anything done, it's going to be off the back of him having a very, very good half for himself, or a very, very good map for himself, and the rest of Arcade having a decent game plan around that. Not to mention the fact that he's very familiar with all of these players. He's got a pretty decent history with the majority of the players on the BNK roster, so he kind of knows how they play and should be pretty comfortable in the server tonight.
Yeah, I mean, look, I will agree with you. I think he's probably the most solid or well-rounded player on that Arcade roster. I have no doubt about that. He's certainly the one with the most experience at this level, and even I would say he's been in teams that I would think would be better than Arcade. So I think he's definitely one of those players that I at least look at maybe in the same vein as what I would have perhaps Damio in the last 6 months, where I think he's a lot of the time on teams that are below his level almost, and he kind of just hasn't really had that opportunity to be in a team where, you know, maybe he's not the best player on the team for probably something like 2 years or potentially longer than that. But either way, conversation for another day, as we do have to talk about Nuke here being the first map in the... Well, it's the BO1s. It's two BO1s. Don't call it a BO2 because it's not a BO2, but the two BO1s that we get to see tonight. First one will be Nuke, and it's going to be probably a pretty happy position to end up in there for BNK, especially if it's going to be Vertigo for that second map. I don't know what that second map's going to end up being, but usually the way it goes is the veto is more or less just repeated, and we get the one that was the last ban, and in this case it was Vertigo. But if you're BNK and you're choosing between Vertigo and Nuke, I'm sorry, but you know you're very pleased with that. So two maps that they like to go towards, and it's a tough one, I think, for Arcade, obviously. But either way, you know, you probably want to be pushing BNK away from potentially their two best maps, but it is what it is.
I have a feeling, like, as I mentioned, kind of with Apoc Dart in the team, as well as some of these players kind of kicking around in the same circle and knowing the history of some of the players on Arcade, that they probably don't mind Nuke either. I think they're probably kind of going onto a middle of the map pool kind of map, which, yes, is very good for BNK, which is obviously a problem because they're going to be very difficult to beat, but also should be a pretty comfortable map for Arcade. So I think, look, in terms of upsets, is that a good thing? Probably not. But for a team like Arcade, who's here in Challenger League Oceania, is probably not expected to qualify for EPL. I think that it's not the worst thing in the world to be playing some of the better teams in Australia and improving and playing them on maps that they're very good at, and seeing how well you can go, seeing how hard you can try to test them, and how your strats actually go in an official versus a top domestic team. And really, you know, although we do talk about, and I think a lot of people do focus on the top end of these domestic leagues, you know, for people that are passionate about the scene and actually invested in the scene and players in it and their development, I think that it's good to see a team like Arcade try to take on BNK on a map like Nuke, and just to see how they will go.
Yeah, I mean, since we've, I think, got a little bit of time to talk here, what's your take on my take? I'd love to hear what you think about my take on Apoc Dart. Do you think that you do sort of agree with where I've kind of gone with that storyline?
What did you say again? You said he's...
I feel like he's
not the best player on the team.
No. What I said was I feel like he's the kind of player that has just been kind of in teams that are below his level for quite a long time. Like, he's been the best player on almost all of his teams for the vast majority of his career, and hasn't really been able to get that like little jump up from, like, I would probably put, like, if we're talking OCE, you know, he's probably like tier 1.5, if that makes sense. You know, he's kind of like always on a tier 2 team, but he could slot into a tier 1 team and you'd probably go, all right, that's not a bad pickup. But he's never, you know, he was in the Vertex roster for a little while, and there was that, but didn't really manage to hold on to that slot. I
think, like, I rate Apoc Dart pretty highly in OCE. The thing is, I think he's just, I don't know, I don't think he's like some kind of outstanding talent. Like, I like him as a person, and I think he has very impactful games. I actually think if he was going to play on a very good team, you would probably want to put him in like an aggressive rifling role, where he's going and contesting map control, both on like CT and T side. And he'd be more of sort of like a tool for you, but not necessarily like a player that is going to carry the game for you. More so, he's like, you have your consistent players who are going to kind of like follow him up, but he's someone who, like, when he's on his game and he's contesting map control well, you think about like scaffold position on Vertigo or like Nana and stuff like that. He's quite good at actually going and taking those duels, and when he's on form, he can be very impactful. So yeah, I don't know. I feel like he has had his shot in like Vertex and rosters like that in the past that haven't quite lived up to the bill. and even has had a couple cracks internationally. So I'm just really not sure where there is to go for him. I think for Apoc Dud, he probably has to be standout on one of these tier 2 teams that he's playing on and put up like 1.3 stats. Otherwise, he's probably never going to make the jump to a top team. But look, at the end of the day, there's a lot of players like that in the domestic scene.
Yep. Indeed. All right, well, we should take a quick look at the matchup here as well and see how things are shaping up going into this game. I wonder if this will give us an insight as to who's in the server. It will. It's going to be your Wombat as the, I guess, the substitute stand-in, whatever you may call it, for PZ, which, I mean, it's not a surprising choice at all by BNK, is it, right? This is a player that's kind of been in and around that roster, kind of in the same capacity, actually, as Apoc Dud. Like, he's floated around these players, Brace Addict, a while, so not really surprising to sort of see him slotting in there.
Let's talk about something more interesting than that.
Okay.
Whomst do you put in that slot, though?
Well, that's a great question.
What is BNK cooking right now? Like, what is going on? Who do you put as their fifth? I do not know either.
I mean, the mind kind of wanders, right? Because it's like, well, I mean, Alistair's on FlyQuest. He'd be like the... If you could get anyone, you'd want Alistair if you're getting an ANZ player. You're not getting him because he's obviously on FlyQuest. Chell definitely doesn't fit the bill because he's a in-game leading AWPer anyway, and there's just no way he's in this roster ever. Plus, he's on Rooster. I would think, you know, what about someone like Sterling? He's been not around for a little bit of time. Maybe he's potentially thinking about a comeback, and I don't know. I mean, who else really is there to speak to? Like Payne, we've seen been doing okay, but he's only just joined Mindfreak. I think Night Raid's been pretty solid from what I've seen lately as well, but is he ready to make the jump into a team like this? I don't necessarily know that would be the case. So I think it's quite hard actually to really make a straightforward call and say, okay, this is exactly who it's going to be.
Yeah.
I've got no idea, by the way. I'm sure there are people around the scene that have a bit of a whisper and have an idea of who's going to be slotting into this roster, but I'm not one of them. So those would be like my guesses, but even then I'm very not very confident at all.
Yeah, I'm not confident either. I don't know, like, I don't think that there's necessarily a great option for BNK. I think that maybe I overrate players who I already know can be successful at that level. So I'd probably even be looking at someone like an Apoc Dud or a Tux or someone like that, but I'm not even necessarily sure that would fit the build, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, like, is Tux going to leave that Mindfreak, like, roster? I mean, he is that team. You know what I mean?
For BNK?
Yeah, but BNK is not a salaried team. What have they got going for them? I mean, maybe a couple of chances to play overseas here and there, but I don't know. I mean, maybe. Yeah, I guess it depends on the drive.
I think you're crazy if you don't leave Mindfreak for BNK. Like, no disrespect to Mindfreak. They're actually doing pretty good in ECL, to be honest. They've kind of surpassed every one of my expectations, to be fair. But yeah, I think 100% you go to BNK if you get that offer for sure.
Yeah. I mean, as to the point of Apoc Dud, I think if that were to be the case, if that was the choice, we would not be seeing... Well, I mean, would we? Like, I guess, can he play?
We probably would anyway, yeah.
Well, because, no, but yeah, I mean, he's played in Challenger League, so could he then play in BNK in Challenger League? I don't know how the roster locks work, whether or not that's allowed. I would imagine your Wombat hasn't actually played in Challenger League.
I can tell you right now, one moment.
So that would make sense as to why he was able to be the sub.
He's played for Vex in March. So he's played already for a different team.
Which is Arcade. That's actually
Arcade.
Yeah.
He's played for Arcade.
Okay, so that poo-poos that idea. But I don't know. I don't see Apoc Dud going back into this roster. Like, as we've talked about, he kind of had his little run.
Yeah.
I don't know that they're going to go for that. What's weird for me is this BNK roster has been making a lot of changes lately, and it just seems like they can't quite settle on that 5 that they want. You know, you've got the core of Brace, Addict, Hazza, and it seems like Damio slotted in really nicely after they were sort of experimenting a bit with hats, but now it's like, okay, another change. But all that said and done, enough talk. It's time to get into the game.
Maybe you just get hats back.
As the AWPer?
I just don't even... Like, I think this is a bit of a Lin Vision situation going on right now. Anyway, I want to give this game the benefit of the doubt because I reckon Arcade's the kind of team that will rock up to a game like this and actually have a game plan and try to win. So I'm really intrigued to see what they're going to put together here. It looks like they're preparing themselves for a little uppers here with a wrap smoke on heaven.
Yeah, Molly's going to be tickling the feet of Addict, and he's not too bothered by that. He'll get himself just the one. Your Wombat, he's welcoming himself back into the server with a nice 3k on the pistol, so no harm, no foul at all. 5+. Ooh, actually on for the clutch right here. Spamming away with that Glock, needs to hit the head. Hasn't been able to do so, and Brace is definitely not shying away from that fight, so ends up being pissed around for BNK, although a little bit closer than anticipated.
A lot of body shots going on there with Vidges being showcased. But after all said and done, no bomb plant there for Arcade. Could see our hero AK dropped over by Triplus or just a Deegan investment. Very winnable pistol there for Arcade. Bit of a missed opportunity early on, I think, especially in a BO1, MR12 against a better team. You want to be getting those pistols, min-max and things. See the full echo here for Arcade. Triplus has lost a Deagle outside already. I agree with you. I think for BNK, the rifling core of this team is pretty solid. Like, I would say pretty decent, even at a, like, tier... I don't know, what would you say? Like a tier 3 level in Europe or something? You could probably put Damio, Hazard, Addict in the server and they'd get their numbers, you know?
Yeah, for sure.
They'd be fine. Like, they wouldn't be crazy outstanding. They're not like farming and pushing up into tier 2 or anything, but like they are decent CS players. And, you know, Brace definitely tries any you know, tries to have a good approach to CS. You know, we don't have many very good IGLs in odds, and I'd say Brace is a pretty decent one, so he kind of justifies his position as well. Just don't know what you do about a 5th, really.
Yeah. Import a European AWPer, how about that?
Well, I would say why not just get rid of the whole team and have 5 Euros, but that's just me as an Australian. Oh, it's nice to see the players that play with left-handed models. You can see that now.
Oh, that's true, yeah.
That's actually big that he hasn't got burnt by that molly. That's probably going to be a freebie for Addict here.
Yeah, they were too far away to hear it. The pop is just going to come through anyway, so...
Beautiful.
Good due diligence being done by Arcade.
That's what I'm saying about Arcade, though. Like, there is not many teams who would do that, like, layered utility well, but they are clearly trying. They've rocked up to this game. They've got good protocols. They're working the map quite well. Unfortunately, they're still probably going to end up in a deficit in this round unless Kobe can do something really nice on low HP. Unfortunately, can't, so it's going to be down to this lobby contact for the Arcade boys, which could still work out.
Harry Potter has found the entry onto the A-bomb site.
I think that's probably Void. Yes, it is Void.
Well, Hazard's up the vent. He's cleared all that out. And Arcade haven't really been able to get off of the site. The exception of Harry Potter under the cupboard in the hut. But it is looking pretty good for Arcade here to pick up their first round on the T side of Nuke. Damio, he is a bit of a clutch minister at times, but not this one. Sfogus will catch him on the timing, and that is going to be the first one on the board. So nice early inroads being made by Arcade.
Put a fair bit of pressure on the CT economy. BNK will reply with a buy here. A chance now for Arcade to reset. These are the rounds that you've got to take hold of with both hands and make sure you're closing them as an underdog on the T side here. This is probably one of the most critical rounds of this whole game. They can reset at CT economy nice and early on. They're going to get rolling on the T side, get some confidence going. Sprinting straight into upper here. Great entry there by Foggers, and the flashes are layered quite nicely to put pressure on the CTs. They're trying to flood and defend the site, but they find themselves at a numbers deficit, and Brace gets shut out of heaven. A smoke to Annex as well. This is really great util for Arcade to get comfy in the site.
It's got to be save territory for BNK. They're just completely locked out. I mean, the Molotov again up into heaven, and obviously that second smoke into Annex would mean BNK don't even have a way into that site, even if they wanted to. So opting to just take the weapons through to the next round, and sort of as expected, actually, this matchup so far. You know, you see that pistol, and BNK are able to win that, and the expectation will very much still be that they do win this game, but Arcade are not putting up a bad showing of their own, it has to be said. First couple of gun rounds do go their way, and that is nice to see that they're able to put a bit of pressure on BNK.
There's a lot of guns there. Attic goes down 1 for 2, which is probably still fine for Arcade. I think you throw 2 guns at that rifle there and you're fine with it. Getting traded by the bomb radius. Brace, Hero, M4, but the rest of them on a single save here into a probably pretty unremarkable buy. Arcade's going to be quite happy about how this T side is going. This is the kind of things that they need to be doing to cause an upset tonight, and they're looking, you know, pretty switched on, pretty well drilled. Like, these are the kind of teams that we like to see in Oceania. You know, we were talking a little while about Vantage and how they were looking like a pretty well drilled team. Straight into Ramper and Doe, anti-eco. Apoc Dud's going to get a bit of a, well, try to get a bit of a farm on. At the end of the day, though, even though he's not really able to mop up too many with the MAC-10, the trades are good. And only losing 1 gun there is phenomenal for Arcade's money. They're in a great start.
Yeah, well, back into the swing of things, though, is BNK, so let's not get overly excited just yet.
I don't think we're going to really care too much about having money for AWP or not. If anything, I'm probably expecting Damio to AWP.
Why?
Because he's the only one I've seen AWP.
Okay. Maybe.
Have you seen anyone else AWP?
Not really. I'm almost wondering if they're just not even going to play an AWPer.
Yeah, they probably won't most of the time. Here's the outside wall of smokes into Upper's pressure, which is just trying to actually pull a little bit of reaction from the CT side away from Yard so that they can find this lurk timing. Unfortunately, spotted there is Kobe. They almost hit the lurk timing. It was a very clever play from Arcade there, but doesn't quite work out for them.
This is perhaps the straw that breaks the camel's back for the solid start. Plus, though, on the off angle that wasn't really expected, but Hazza also kind of in a weird position. So in the end, he's able to calibrate onto that one nicely, and it's kind of one thing after the other going wrong for Arcade in this round. Hazza might well find another solid timing here, and does get that job done nicely. Apoc's got no idea that your Wombat's up on top of Hut, and he'll finish things off nicely. So 3 apiece is the scoreline.
You can see what Arcade was trying to go for there, though. Like the wall of smokes across the outside, trying to pull the rotation towards the ramp room or down vent. Then they're working Annex side, put that util pressure into upper, smoke to Annex and a molly to top Heart and a flash, just trying to pull the Annex rotator away or the Heaven player into upper and sneak that rotate in through ladder base, and it almost works for them. Really using their utility to try and push and pull the rotations for BNK and pull reactions from the CT side. Breakdown vent is void. That's a good position to be found early on here for the T side. And every round is kind of a different look so far from Arcade. They've got some great depth on this T side, it looks like. Apoc dart on the AWP. Don't mind it. Something that we saw for a while in, I think it was his Chiefs era, was it? You can see BNK boosting Brace up to anticipate the join up with the vent player. Common play for the T side is to mix in a ramp contact in the mid to late round and end lowers. So you can see BNK trying to play around that a little.
Slow round this one from Arcade. Gonna have to get a bit of a wriggle on with only 35 seconds left. They don't have a lot of control at all, and they're gonna have to cut corners. So Brace is gonna be able to get himself an easy 2K. No one even checking on top of the boxes. Apocdad not too keen on trying to trade with the AWP, and I don't blame him. It's now 3 on 5, and Arcade, they've got nowhere really to go. Just got to scramble into one of these sites and hope that they can make something work, but it's never going to when you've got this many members on A, and BNK, a very comfortable round win.
Yeah, I think BNK outplaying Arcade quite heavily there. You know, Arcade did a good job getting the player down vent, but after you get the player down vent, it's like only so many different approaches you can do to end the round in a simple way. You know, like you either wall of smokes across outside and go down secret, which they actually did wall of smoke across outside. Or you kind of go through ramp room in the mid to late round, and you can see BNK playing quite heavily around the mid to late round ramp room take to meet up into lower. They boosted brace up, and that just kind of ended the round from there. So it was a nice little one-man rotate there from BNK. Small little adaptation that ends up winning them around, and that's the kind of experience that a team like BNK has on Nuke. Nice little reaction to the vent drop that wins them the round quite easily. And I think for Arcade, you can see what they're trying to go for. In every one of these rounds, they have this approach, but I think where they're really falling apart is just they're over-complicating things a little bit. They're being a little bit too tricky here and there, rather than relying a bit more on the fundamentals, getting in there, taking the duels, and trading out. Feels like they're trying to find the perfect read every time, that rather than just being in a good position. Again, into the ramp room, which is exactly what they did on their last eco. This time it's getting a bit messy though, and Damio does end up losing the AWP. 2 kills for Arcade on the eco is a pretty good result, and as expected, you're going to see Damio on the AWP for BNK, so we'll see how he goes with it.
Yeah, 3 and 7 at the moment with the rifle, so you know, might as well change it up.
Whoever's having a shit game, just throw him on the AWP, I guess.
Yeah. Look, I'll tell you what, I have been very, very, very kind to Damio in probably the last couple of months. I've said a lot of positive things about him, so, you know, goes both ways.
He's alright. His brother's pretty good.
Yeah. I would love to see them play on the same team. I think that would be a really cool storyline. But not there yet. Who knows? I think the trajectory Damio's been taking over the last 6 months would have him in that direction at the moment, but we'll see how things play out. Either way,
I mean,
BNK
another
looking a bit more
different
solid.
approach for Arcade here. They are wall of smoke across outside. They've left Void on the lobby lurk, and they're just committing down into lower. Like, again, every T-side round, it's been a different look for Arcade here.
Again, slow and steady wins the race, though. Void's going to be left up on top of lobby to keep an eye on things over there. Try and cut off a rotation here or there, or maybe catch someone looking for info. Foggers does get that entry. And it'll be Arcade starting to work their way into the site nicely.
Yeah.
Wombats kept at bay by the molly.
This is perfect, though. Like, great util usage to shut off the Megaton angles. Nice open plant. Big read coming in from Megaton. It's a pretty one-dimensional retake here for BNK. This usually doesn't go well for CT.
No, especially not with this kind of a setup from Arcade. Flash is going to go through. A little bit of milling around going on from Arcade. They've doubled up. I'm not sure that's going to be expected. Apocdad is just going to wait patiently here, and surely no one will check him if they even get the time to. And of course, Addict not quite prepared for it. Damio doesn't quite hit it with the P250, and that'll be another round for Arcade.
Yeah. Very difficult to retake that lowest site from one direction. You usually need to kind of pinch or have control of like Windows or Decon or something like that as CT. They gave it a really good crack though, has to be said. I think partially just due down to the firepower difference, but even BNK can't complete that disadvantageous retake. Round 10 is going to be a swing round here. Both teams 1900 loss bonus, no money to fall back on. So we'll see what they go. Close position under silo. Probably going to be unchecked. See if the trigger discipline pays off here. Actually doesn't opt to, but Addict's always good for 2, isn't he?
More often than not. And in this game, considering he's 11-5, he's actually good for a little bit more than 2 on average. There's Damio chiming in with the AWP, and this round has kind of fallen apart for Arcade. They don't get much of a chance to do anything here. Brace will spot out at least one of the last remaining 2. So he will have to give up control of ramp room and give Damio that responsibility.
Yeah, an Arcade. Just not really trading very favorably, unfortunately. That is the firepower diff that you get from the side of BNK. These players more than good enough to multi-frag. And I think Arcade, look, they've got already some decent rounds out of this T side on Nuke, but firepower-wise at the moment, not really able to go pound for pound with BNK so far in the server.
Not an easy one for Brace there. They're expecting an extra player around behind the silos as well, but your Wombat will get the job done. And in the end, it's a pretty comfortable round win for BNK once again. 3 guns through is pretty good. Arcade broken. They'll get one more bite of the cherry before the end of the half, but this could end up being something that starts to blow out a little bit for BNK now.
Yeah, money's kind of run out here for Arcade. You're able to get a good buy into the last round of the half. Bomb plant will definitely help out a lot if they can get it. Definitely buy them a full ball to U2 rather than trying to make do with limited grenades or going down to Galils. 4 rounds is okay. If they can get 5, that would be even better. I mean, this is the thing. You see maps from Damio where he looks kind of sharp on the orb, but he's... Ooh.
What? Harry Potter!
Harry Potter! The one who lived.
The boy who lived.
No, it's... Okay.
The Juan?
One
Is that what... Yeah, I see. I get it. The Juan.
That's a crisp clean block if I've ever seen one. Really nothing in this round for Arcade. If they could scrape 5 together on this T side, I think they'll be happy with that, to be honest. Like, I think the overall macro approach from Arcade has been good. Like, the calling's been decent. It's just like they're not shooting back as well as they need to.
No. Well, it doesn't help that they've only got the pistols in this round, and hopefully we'll get to see a little more in this final round. I mean, look, if they get 5 on T side, I don't think that we can be too disappointed with that. That would not be a bad shout.
Buy comes through. The lack of a bomb plant costs them a fair few grenades in this round. She's gonna kind of affect their ability to play like a very slow late round kind of scenario, which you've seen them do a couple of times. So they'll have to lean on something a little more simple, most likely. Gonna be outside wall of smokes to kick things off. Brace is going to drop into lower and blow door open. Looks like it's an uppers timing to try to make something happen in the mid-round. Nice nade to kick things off for BNK, and Foggers gets dropped before the round even starts, really.
Yeah, your Wombat having a great time on this A-side hold. He's really been the standout for BNK so far. He's got a little more work to do, but Kobe, being the last man standing, perhaps won't really be able to show us too much in a 1v4, you'd think.
No one really giving him anything. They've just left ramp room completely open. they're quite happy to give him the lowest site, and they'll just probably retake together with really tight spacing. In fact, your Wombat even dropping down to kind of preempt the lowest timing pretty nicely.
Hasn't quite spotted him out just yet. Kobe's taking as much time as he can to clear out as much space as possible, but there's just too much to clear. So 8-4 will be the first half score. So jumping back into the second half, and it really hasn't been anything too untoward today. 8-4 for BNK. You know, a little bit of an up and down, bumpy kind of first half for Arcade. They got a little bit done. They showed us what they can provide, but they weren't able to do it on a consistent basis. And so now they're going to have to get it done on that CT side. First port of call, of course, will be a pretty big pistol round win here for Arcade if they want to get this ball rolling.
Yeah, see if they can cover this game a bit more on the defense. Foggers trying to play with confidence. Cops are goosh, but at least will be allowed to live there by BNK, who are getting themselves ready for this uppers hit.
Okay, well, there's one flash. There's two flashes. TriPlus just forced away from the heaven angle for a moment, and that's been enough to allow BNK out, but not before Foggers has been able to chime in with one. Bomb plan will go down. It's 4 on 5, and BNK are scurrying for a bit of site control. Hazard creeps his way forward into the corner to play anti-flash. Pretty standard position, and it's exactly for things like that. There's the flash through from TriPlus, which I think might have actually blinded his teammate. Either way, Hazard is able to strike for a double. which is exactly what he needed to do, but somebody else is going to have to get a bit of work done, and it's on to Brace. Bomb's not planted for him. They haven't spotted him out. Finally, they do. And it just took a little bit too long for Brace to get in position. Nice, decisive retake from Arcade. Gets the job done.
Yeah, good stuff from Foggers as well. Really quite heavily contesting that execute, getting a lot of info and a chance at a pick. And even on 12 HP after he cops the goose, he's able to actually find Damio on the cross from Heaven's side. And then, as you mentioned, just good decisive retake from Arcade. Great flash from backside of ladder base to help the CTs flood out of Heaven, even if they do get blinded by it a little bit. So did the Ts for the most part. But with the bomb plant, BNK will force round 2 here. 3 rifles, 2 Deegs, 2 belts of util. Initial wave of util going to be anti-rush protocols here for Arcade, and BNK for the moment will have to respect that.
Not a lot of moving and shaking going on from BNK so far. Had a bit of a look into lobby. Now they're going to start to explore outer with the small amounts of util that they do have.
Yeah. I think they wanted to go for the ramp side play there, but they get shut out by the first wave of util. Now going for plan B. Brace dropped a handful of grenades. Going to be the wall of smoke across outside. Molly into secret. Kobe trying to deny entry to secret with his own Molotov. BNK playing close to the smokes here. HE breaking them. But patience for BNK pays off there. They don't lose a pick on the cross.
Yeah, pop flashing through the air as well, just for extra safety. But Triplus well aware of the rotation that is being made here by Arcade, so he's just going to jump spot. And he does indeed get that information. Now it's on to Attic to try to find that entry. And maybe it's not just Attic, the whole team is there. Triplus has done well to get one, and he has slowed them down. Void will have to be a little scared here, though. He'll be dropped by Brace from behind with that Deagle. It'll be an upgrade for him. Famas in hand now. Foggers on the wrap in behind through Vent. It's a bit of a chaotic round, really. There's a lot going on. But BNK seem to have steadied the ship, and Hazard is starting to get it back on course. It was looking quite disastrous for a moment. Maybe Kobe can still cause a problem, but he is not the iceberg in the water this time around. It's 9-5. BNK will pull off the force bite.
Hard reset on that CT money there for Arcade in a game where they didn't really get enough done in the first half. Is going to be a bit of a bitter pill to swallow. Couple scouts coming out, just scouts and upgraded pistols to try to cause an upset. If that doesn't work out, they're going to be reset into a pretty lackluster buy for the first gun round in round 17. Very little room for error on the comeback unless they can convert this force bite. And so far, it's not looking like that's an opportunity. Attic just out in the open, taking duels on yard and not missing.
Yeah, Void will tuck himself in the corner with that Deagle, but he's going to have to look for something. You know, if there's going to be much to say about this round for Arcade, someone's going to have to get active. BNK certainly are not doing that. They've got that advantage. They know that Arcade are going to want to go and get a little busy. So they more or less just slowed things down. Working their way toward B as a wolf pack and really ensuring that they cross the T's, dot the I's. Use as much of that util as they need to get around safely, and so far so good for BNK.
Brace harassed. He's going to drop on Heaven's side. So Lurk dealt with, but unfortunately the main issue is the fact that they've lost control of lowers here, bit Arcade. That will probably just prompt a save. See if they can get some more damage done in round 16. Void can hold on to the hero AK, drop a Deagle over. Gives them an outside shot at winning the next round as well.
Ten to 5 though.
Yeah, there's... I mean, it's CT side comeback, right? For the underdog team. It's probably over this game, unfortunately. Very favorable scenario for B&K, winning with 4 guns, surviving here after winning the round 2 force. Puts their economy in a good position. Arcade has very little room for error, and B&K will have plenty if they can close out this next round relatively cleanly as well. They'll be up 11-5 with a good economy behind them, 2 or 3 gun rounds in the back pocket. And Arcade, on the other hand, will likely go into round 17 with like one of those 4.5k kind of buys. So no warp, limited util, nuke CT side. Not going to be an easy road back into this one.
No, sir. It's about to get more difficult, as this will more than likely be the 11th for B&K. But maybe APOC Dud can do something interesting with that scout. Not sure that he's ever really been one to join the awesome scout squad. Bit of a throwback there, but he's going to have a crack, and no real opportunity so far. It's just flashed off the line, and now B&K are already down through secret and getting in towards that B bomb site, trying to clear out vents. Again, util usage has been pretty solid from them. Arcade not really been given too many opportunities here. The vent player wasn't cleared. That's awkward for Mr. Hazard. Eventually, it'll be stabilized.
Oh, APOC Dud's here. He's just going to walk into Damio, unfortunately. Thought he had the timing. Kobe's cleared out a lower. B&K, despite a bit of a surprise from Vloggers in the vent, who somehow found his rotation timing around to Megaton here. Shouldn't be having too many issues. AK gets involved far too late in the round, and that's another round where B&K, 4 alive, pretty cleanly deal with that one. Try plus 4k. I mean, this is what I was talking about, right? We've got a CT buy, no kits, 2 mollies, very limited flashes. You've skipped at least a smoke. Very kind of unfavorable scenario to be closing out this game of Nuke for Arcade, or closing the scoreline gap very much, but we'll see what they've got.
Oh, there's a toe in it. Don't know that Foggers has spotted it. Maybe it doesn't matter, because the work is really being done on outer at the moment from B&K. Again, that wall of smokes will be set up, and again, the approach is in through secret. Spam is not going to connect. So B&K are across quite safely, and Triplus has the same job to do, jump spotting, but he's losing players all over the map. Finally, Brace will drop. But it is still 4 on 3. Your Wombat's going to catch another rotator. That's an easy kill for him. Triplus has way too much to do here. He needs to get probably 3 to win the round. There's the first, and the second, and the third. Okay, hang on. We might be on for something now. Well done from Triplus. But your Wombat in the clutch, 18 and 7. He has been the man to beat. Foggers waiting on a nice line, but your Wombat's going to win it anyway. 12 to 5. And for all the heroics from Triplus, it is not enough.
It's an instant reset on the CT economy. Attack timeout. Rubbing a bit of salt in the wound there for B&K. And your Wombat playing against the team he played for before. Seems to have a bit of a point to prove. Last force buy for Arcade, leaving a fair bit to be desired, unfortunately. Has not been their day here on Nuke. Lost a couple of important swing rounds that didn't go their way, and in general just have not been fragging hard enough pound for pound with B&K, which, you know, at the end of the day, CS is a game about shooting the other team, but also in terms of the macro aspect of things, has a pretty big impact on your economy and your ability to kind of consistently string rounds together. That's why you're seeing Arcade really kind of struggle through this game quite a bit. Util on outside, B&K quite heavily committing to that. Not even a lobby lurk from them this round. Just wanting to play as a bit of a pack. They've got better util, better guns. And they're going to walk their way into warehouse. As well as secret.
That's worked out nicely. BNK not really putting a foot wrong. I mean, his T-side has been pretty clean from them so far. And you'd expect that that will be pretty much the case for the rest of the map, because I think it might be ending here. Arcade had a couple of interesting moments in that first half, but just haven't really gotten the ball rolling on this CT side at all. Fogger's going to have to go hunting in the 3-on-5, but as is ever the case, BNK are ready for that. It's got one more on top of A. Can't quite finish Void off. But there's a nade perhaps that'll do it. Either way, it's job done from BNK, 13-5. And a very comfortable win for them to start the night off for ESL Challenger League in Oceania. So Arcade gonna have to go back to the drawing board.
Yeah, I think it really just came down to kind of the firepower difference. Even Wombat coming in as a stand-in did pretty well. BNK looking like just a tier above Arcade, and although you know, there was, you know, some decent approaches there for Arcade on the T side, and they had some okay ideas. Unfortunately, not only was the Kadir player to watch not playing too fantastic, but neither was anyone else in Arcade really. And at the end of the day, you're not able to kind of go pound for pound firepower wise with the other team. You're, you know, going to be struggling in terms of the money. You're going to be not putting together the clutches, and you're going to be losing the game. Yeah,
exactly. Unfortunately for Arcade, they dropped that first map, but there is an opportunity still to take one away from BNK, and that's what we're going to be looking forward to in about 10-15 minutes or so. So we're going to take a short break here. Don't go too far away. Map 2 coming up right after this. Time for map number 2. It is BNK and Arcade Esports taking one another on in ESL Challenger League Season 47 Oceania. Wasn't a particularly fun day at the office for Arcade on Nuke. We'll see what BNK is going to be able to rustle up on this CT side to kick things off and see if they can find themselves the clean 2-0 tonight.
Yeah, Arcade starting off a bit more of a defaulty kind of pistol. Having a look in towards second mid. Listening out for any aggression on mid or banana, but after not really seeing anything, they're going to take this space for free. Having a look towards carpet side as well. Just a decoy to try to dissuade the CTs from peeking the lines here. And Wombat just spotting out a bit of info ready with the reactive smoke there. He's going to be baited out to throw that by just a single decoy grenade. So good start from Arcade, getting good use out of the decoys.
Yeah, patience a virtue for Arcade in this round. I mean, they have bled out that CT util, which is a good sign because they've obviously still been able to hang on to theirs. So they're really ready for a full execute. But Addict's been able to execute Void. Fantastic timing. He's also not spotted too much out in the apartments there, so he's going to kind of get on his bike over toward B, and there's already 3 players stacked over on that bomb site. Hazard claiming 1 head. Well, it's not a bad setup for Arcade, but it's kind of fallen apart a little bit, and that ends up being a very clean pistol round for BNK.
Yeah, I mean, again, for Arcade, it's a similar kind of story, unfortunately, to what we saw on Nuke. It's like, their approach is not bad. They got pretty much all the map control you'd want for free. They got both Carps and Banana, and they bled out the CT util by only using decoy grenades. But when it comes to actually converting the mid to late round, they just can't getting smacked away by BNK. And credit where credit's due, you know, despite all of the work that Arcade does in the early to mid round, both on Nuke and then in that pistol round, you know, BNK is ready with well-timed aggression. That's another great example of it. Flash is scaled over the top of second mid, and it's a pretty free anti-eco mop-up there for all of BNK. That's the way I love to see my eco rounds go. Let's just skip that, get into the first gun round in round number 3.
Yeah, well, fair enough. Arcade going to jump straight into the full bite. 5 rifles, no AWP in sight just yet. What are they going to be able to rustle up? I wonder if BNK are going to try something quick again. They do have 2 MP9s. But on Inferno, it is one of those maps where you can still make pretty good use of that weapon. A lot of close range angles, that nade as well. Softening a couple of the targets up. Big nade stacked down Banana as well, and already Arcade. You're just seeing the ugliness, really, that is Inferno rear its head again. Cannot be anywhere near Banana at the start of the round.
Info denial smoke on Banana from Arcade as they look to contest bracket side. Pretty dry contact approach. Anti-flash completely caught out is Addict. Damio not able to, or rather Hazard not able to do too much. It's Damio to clean up the majority there from Jungler's side. Really nicely. He's now solo on this A site though until Brace is able to get into a decent position over on Library, but only with an MP9. He won't luckily have to do too much. Very winnable 1-on-2 for Void now.
Certainly is. Your Wombat has got himself an AK, 25 bullets, no need to reload. That's fantastic news. He might just catch Void in transition here around that smoke, though he expects him already in the pit. And that will be enough to give Void the advantage in the duel. 2-1 the scoreline. Similar start to what we saw on Nuke.
Much needed clutch for Arcade. Didn't win many of those clutches on Nuke, so that's a big one, especially to put pressure on the CT economy early on. Gonna make round 4 a pretty big swing round. No cash in the bank for either team. 1900 loss bonus apiece. AWP comes out for Damio. He's gonna bring that over onto Banana side. Progression smoke and Molly to deny info and space to the CT side on Banana. Kobe going to walk up behind that. And over here on Carpet side, Arcade just going to silently jump up, So pretty slow defaulting round for Arcade. Haven't really started to contest any major map control. Yeah, combination of Molly on Sandbag. They've taken Banana here. Retake util. Affected by Arcade. Ooh, held boost as well. They wanted to try to punish BNK from walking back into main, and now they're not able to.
Hazard just going to get that molly down on a perfect timing. Just as the util gets tossed in by Arcade, it's only Triplus that gets into brackets. He'll be spotted out as well by BNK, and there's another molly though. This one will come through perhaps a little too late. Smoked off anyway by Arcade. Now it's Addict around that smoke. That's going to be the first to strike. MP9 good for 1.5. And Brace with the M4 for 2. It's just Triplus indeed on 2 that is going to end up being finished off by Hazard. So quite the clean-up by BNK. 3-1 the score. And Arcade are in a bit of trouble now.
Yeah, double mollies over on jungle's side there for Hazard. Really puts Arcade in a bad position. You can see they had a plan in mind that really gets broken up by the incendiaries. Really well timed. As well as that bait setup over on balcony. Not something they were ready for at all. It's the little things that BNK does really well that really break up the plans for Arcade. Straight out middle. Bit of a shooting gallery for Damio and Hazard. And another eco round that goes by in 10 seconds flat. I'm not complaining. Going to be pretty good for the BNK economy though. They are very comfy on this CT side now.
Yeah, I mean, I appreciate the fact that Arcade are getting through these eco rounds pretty quick. Call that a win. But how about a gun round? Let's see how this one plays out. This is a fast attempt at Banana, and BNK haven't really done a whole lot to stop that. It's going to be a bit of chip damage onto Foggers and Kobe, but Sandbags has been taken by Arcade.
There's the molly trying to push them forward into Brace's line. Respected for the time being by Arcade. Aggression from BNK though. Flash off the half wall, and that is an absolute mop-up. Every time Arcade look to take space somewhere. Oh, hold on. Whiff shot from Damio. That could make things a little more interesting. HE Nate going to continue to harass them, but with no smoke over on CT side. They actually double smoked across there, but Hazard applying pressure, and Damio not needing too much help on the ult there. After the initial whiff shot, he's able to calibrate his zoom settings a bit better over on Newbox and gets it done.
Yep. Yeah, this map looking even more dominant than the last almost.
Yeah. I mean, these util sets and protocols that BNK are doing, like the small reads that they're making, is just kind of ripping Arcade apart. All of the little plays that they've learnt and, you know, experienced from playing overseas is doing them a lot of favors right now, BNK. Arcade just really doesn't seem to have an answer. Like, they have an approach, they have a game plan, and then they get caught in the mid-round by, you know, a retake banana util set, or mollies thrown on jungle side by Hazard, or even a cheeky little bait setup. And they just don't really seem to be able to have an answer. This is going to be another pretty quick eco round off the back of some pretty basic reactive utility.
Well, I might just stop you there, because I think Triplus and Void are going to take it a little slower now. And that will blow the timer out a little bit. They've got a deagle apiece, so they're going to try to look to work a bit of damage, try to find a pick or two, but even that isn't really going to trouble BNK at this point, because they've got so much cash.
So look, I can't say I'm too surprised by the performance from Arcade tonight. Like, they haven't been doing particularly well in the league. I don't think the lineup is too awe-inspiring on paper. And look, BNK have got some pretty good international experience at the moment. And look, the player they've got standing in tonight is playing quite well. So, I mean, what can you really say? Lot of contests happening on Banana so far for this game. And BNK leading quite heavily towards carpets. They were trying to break the default of Arcade, who have been showing a lot of presence in carpets, but this time Arcade bringing more players over towards Banana. It's just your Wombat left in this retake position.
Oh, the spam from your Wombat almost claims one. Maybe the nade from Damio or Hazard will be able to clean that frag up. One plant won't quite be denied. Almost went full Aussie for a moment there. Denied. Can you imagine if he denied the bomb
my
plant?
god, it's a 5-on-5 retake, Jordan.
No way. Sometimes, you know, I've just moved back to Brisbane and that Queensland accent's starting to come through. 4-on-5 and Kobe, I mean, he might not quite be a full member at this point in time because he is only on 11 HP. So not long for this world. Hazard will clean him up and then a couple more as well. Try plus down. Defuse is on. Oh, it's not looking too good though for BNK. Damio's missed the shot and Apok done. Has won the round. That was actually, honestly, very reminiscent of a round that you cast back at IEM Sydney.
Was it? I don't even remember what round you're talking about.
I'm talking about the rush clutch from that exact same position, exact same circumstance, same bomb plant. Damio in CT couldn't cover it. So if you go back and watch the round, that was a much more sped up version of it, but it was the same kind of thing.
I think that was a lot of CT whiffage, honestly. Yeah. Should never have been allowed to happen. But at the end of the day, it's one of those rounds for BNK where they've got $1 million in the bank accounts, and taking all the guns away from Arcade there is not the worst thing in the world, to be honest. Because they could actually get a reset here now on the T-side economy. Arcade kind of just simplifying a lot of these rounds now. You can see they were going for a bit more of a defaulty approach. Now they're kind of just going for hard side executes. This util on the A side of the map, though, is making their life absolutely miserable. Everywhere they go, they're just getting util dumped at the perfect timings.
Yeah, that nade comes through a little bit too late, though, and has actually allowed Kobe across. But in answer to that, BNK have taken so much map control in toward T-spawn, and they're not seeing a whole lot there, so it's going to send Brace scurrying back over toward A. And you're already there, and already having a bit of an impact. A good trade from Hazard. Doesn't seem like Arcade are going to be getting away with anything.
I don't really think there's much to say today for Arcade, to be honest, Jordan. I think it's going to be a pretty similar kind of scenario in the Asia match later on. It's just a bit of a skill diff in the server between teams of different tiers in their region, really.
Yeah. That's fair to say.
I mean, I don't know. BNK are looking really good tonight.
I think so. But then again, Arcade is not the tippy top of the ANZ CS scene, so you do have to sort of take that into account as well. Damion's been pretty solid with the AWP though, hasn't he? 14 and 2. There's another one for him. Oof.
Yeah.
Dude can do no wrong at the moment.
It is against a lower level team, but I know that's the thing. I've seen Damio have some good maps with the AWP. The thing is, I think Damio has got secondary AWPer syndrome. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah, he really does. Like, there's so many players. Like, I used to think I could be an AWPer, and then I actually tried to be a primary AWPer, and I was terrible. It's like, sometimes you play an official, you play a couple scrims, and you're picking up the secondary AWP, and you're like, man, I'm feeling it. Like, on this map, this particular half, you know, when things are going right, I dominate with the AWP, but then, like, you know, the rest of the time, you're just kind of getting owned. Or you play a decent team that knows actually, like, much better util, makes your life a lot harder, makes it harder for you to get a pick, and suddenly you're not doing so hot.
Oh, well, that is
Dear God.
very clean indeed from B&K. There's just nothing for Arcade to do, is there?
It's just so, it's like, it's very sad to watch this kind of game. It's because, like, they're trying, you know, they're coming up bracket together. They're trying to do stuff together, and they're just getting owned.
Well, another one.
Well, let's see if RK can get a third for themselves. Not the best buy in the world. Apop does got a Techers. Molly's layered into bottom, mid, and banana. You're not getting into banana anytime soon, but you'll take an opening pick. Definitely won't be complaining about that.
Got to do something with it, though, if you're Arcade here. Can't really be affording a 10-2 half. Not a whole lot of coming back from that. Going to be walking into Hazza, who, for his own right, is 13-2. Playing that balcony position. Going to have to work through that smoke. Does fade. Duds on his way. Hazza only gets himself the 1-for-1, so Addict is under a bit of pressure here. He's trying to play anti-flash and trying to give Brace a lot of that responsibility. And that'll work out for at least one, but he needs far more than that. Perhaps even a third required. Oh, couldn't quite hold on for the fourth. But you get the sense that he might have done enough here to get this one into the back pocket for Damio. The only question is, will Damio expect the push? It seems that he might be cognizant of that fact, and he has figured it out. 10-2. Again, B&K dominant in the first half. Well, it is 10-2. B&K looking like they might get the job done here on Inferno in a pretty quick affair once again over Arcade Esports. But the pistol round might change that possibility a little. I have to imagine, though, B&K on this T-side pistol will be quite swift about things.
Straight up banana. Damio's been raid bossed. Playing with full confidence. A bit of info for Foggers. Jump spotting upset. But it's a pretty slow split approach here for B&K. Not in a rush to go anywhere. Arcade just giving Kobe a full util set to play retake B here and stacking up on A. Most heavily towards bracket. Smoke drawn out there for Damio. Doesn't see anything else.
Foggers is getting a bit of info, but he has lost control of apartments and has had to fall off, and that is going to give B&K the opportunity to let Hazza have a little bit of a peek.
Util's pretty spread across the map here. They do have some in carps. Smoke committed and flash committed, so at least 2 towards B, if not more, is the read here. It's going to draw the rotation across from Apoc Dud. In the meanwhile, B&K looking to potentially walk out carpets. They're making a lot of noise. And actually, with Breaks making it across towards the barbecue here, actually going to commit to the B side rotate and leave Hazard on the lurk in carps.
Good, decent start for Kobe there. This is maybe starting to get a little bit awkward for B&K, though. Hazard is starting to be able to recover things, and then he himself will fall, though the problem is the rotation will get cut off by Addict, and now Apoc Dud and Kobe both having been gooshed, not too keen to take these fights. Brace will continue to stick around, and Apoc Dud is still hitting heads, so I guess it doesn't matter how much HP he's got. Addict is doing work on the pistol, but he is going to have to scurry, and indeed, you're right, he will have no time to win the round. That one just got maybe a little bit more chaotic than B&K would have liked it to have.
They just couldn't group and commit to an exec in the late round. Like, they overcomplicated that round way too much. Because they got that free space on B, and then they started to lose picks. Like, not really sure what the approach was meant to be. I think if they just committed to, like, the B fake into the walkout carps, probably would have worked a bit better. But they second-guessed themselves when they got control of barbecue that easily. And that's where things got a little bit too hectic, unfortunately. Forced by in round 2, though. B&K, despite not getting the bomb plant, are going to give this round 14th round a crack. Waiting out the util and banana. They've been smoked off. Should be some retake util for B&K here. They've thrown a jungle side smoke. Re-smoke on banana. They've only got one flash to make their way through the map. So they actually can't really contest these kind of smokes. They have to kind of just respect them.
It's not a bad start. B&K going to swiftly work their way into that B bomb site, and they'll get there before anyone from Arcade can really do anything about it. Good damage from Apoc Dud, but maybe not quite enough. Olga's attempting to deny that bomb plant. Hasn't quite been able to find the damage that he needed, though. Hazza will burn alive to the Molly of Triplus. There is at least some success for Arcade, though retaking this bomb site is going to be tough. And Brace, once again, on a big old flank. We saw him try to do that on Nuke. He got in a little bit too late in that case, but here he's had a little bit more time to work. We'll see if he can have any kind of an impact. Addict will go down. Now it's on to Damio. And, well, unfortunately for Brace, he's actually smoked out of the bomb site by his own team's smoke. Not that it really mattered in the end anyway. It faded and he died 10-4. A nice bite at the cherry for B&K, but it turned out to be a little too much to handle.
2 Famas saved over. I think B&K may consider the force here with Galil Armor. Have a chance to break the 60-side economy. At a minimum, it's going to be pistol investments. Keep that CT economy honest, but indeed, yeah, they're going to go for the buy here. Rifles and no head armor, or Galils and armor. This will be a hard reset on Monday. Hopefully just the end of the day.
So yeah,
Main
B&K,
done.
yeah, they're just going to try and sort of force the issue, but Arcade are not really having a bar of it.
I mean, that's the downside of not buying head armor on T side there. Pretty easy pickings for the A1S. Banana controls taken here by Addict, but he's been shut out by the CT util set. Tries to deny info to them by putting out the molly. Will work his way back to this A side of the map. As they're spotting out that dig player. And B&K going to group up towards this A site.
He's not going to check the cutout. Addict pretty sharp on the trade there, though, and that has worked out pretty nicely indeed for B&K. It was an awkward-looking situation. As long as they get rid of Void, though, it turns in their favor, and once again, B&K just looking sharp enough to get through these sticky situations, which leaves Arcade now in one of their own. Foggers and Kobe haven't really been having a great game here, and I don't even know if you go for this. I mean, you're kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place. If you do go for it, you probably lose your guns, you probably lose the game. But if you don't go for it, well, you're giving up an 11th round for free. And Arcade can't really afford that. So Focus is going to have a little bit of a crack here, but time's running away. And they will have to give that 11th round over to B&K.
I had the kids, so it was a very doable retake, but A site, notoriously difficult to retake. And that's going to be a hard reset on the CT economy. Void and Tri Plus double eco. 2 guns saved over. Could drop a MP9 or a FAMAS, maybe, something like that. But again, Arcade starting on the T side, not getting enough damage done really in the first half, and then trying to chase a scoreline deficit on the CT side with almost no room for error. Exactly what happened really on Nuke, and once again not really fragging well enough across the board to contest this match against B&K. It's pretty much the same story again.
Well,
Util set to isolate brace.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely not been easy going for B&K on this T side so far. They've had to work for a lot of these rounds. That's a very nice shot from Addict, though.
Look, I think the aggression necessary, even in the 5-on-4 for Arcade, just given the fact that they have weaker guns and not much util left over in that scenario, but that was not the timing to go for it. And actually, they've lost both of those B picks without really anything too special going on there, you know? They did need to aggress probably in the mid-round, but they needed to do something a bit more coordinated than that, I think.
Plan will go down, though. And in the 2-on-4, I don't really have a huge amount of faith for Arcade Esports, as it's not even going to be 2, and you again find yourself in that awkward spot where it's like, well, I have no option really but to save, but that doesn't feel very good. And so I'd say we're winding down this series as every second passes.
FAMAS safe avoid. It's a bit of a wooden spoon prize, unfortunately. So that's been great form from B&K tonight. From pretty much everyone, Wombat included.
Yep. Standard day at the office really for B&K in a matchup like this one. But I still wonder where this roster is going. Who's that fifth going to be? Or is this the core five now? And Daniel's just the AWP. I mean, it hasn't been a bad shout from him. We'll see. A bit messy in the attempt to take brackets in this round, but that has given Brace a little bit of a hole to slip through. It's going to be a re-aggression actually in towards middle, and Apoc Dud was spotted out before he kind of got away with anything, and that'll be that pretty much. Kobe, the last man standing, 2v1, MP9, has to try to clutch it out, and he's not going to have a huge amount of time to do it. Addict is going to get that bomb plant down pretty quick, smart. Kobe doesn't have a defuse kit. He's on the move and can't afford to pick up any of these weapons lest he make any noise, which means he's going to have to do it with the MP9, and I just don't think that's got the stopping power that he needs to win this round. This would have to be a monumental mishap for BNK to lose the round from here. Although I have seen similar things at a DreamHack Melbourne at one point. So let's see what Kobe can do. Not the same as what Advent did all those years ago, but it is BNK 13-4 to finish the night off, and they do secure the 2-0, which was very much in line with expectations this evening.
Yeah, I think for Arcade, like, they've got some decent approaches. They definitely try to play CS the right way, and honestly, that's what I want to see more and more in the Oz region. It's why I was kind of a big fan of the Vantage roster coming up, and actually even originally what this BNK roster was before they actually cracked into tier 1 and they started looking this good is a similar kind of story, a team that kind of ground their way up from tier 2 with you know, a couple of players trying to play CS the right way. So look, I'm a fan of what Arcade are doing. I think it's an okay roster on paper, but they really did not play well enough individually to be able to contest BNK by any stretch of the imagination tonight. And I think they're a little bit too readable. I think particularly on those T sides, like BNK was making some pretty basic kind of reads and adaptations, or some really nice kind of util sets that they just weren't able to deal with, and they kind of got picked apart a little bit. So look, I think that's what ECL is for. At the end of the day, you play some of the better teams in your domestic region, you see what you can learn from it, and try to adapt and grow and improve. So I hope that Arcade will go back to the drawing board and, you know, just learn some lessons from that game.
Yeah, I think generally speaking, still kind of early days for this roster, though. Like, they were only formed earlier in the year, and I don't even think it was like right at the start of the year, or there was, I believe, conversations happening maybe over the holiday period that this team was getting put together. So probably it's been about, what, 4 or 5 months, but, you know, Damio obviously coming out of the roster, and that's changing things up as well. So they've still got a bit of time maybe to kind of get the ball rolling. As far as the Kadir player to watch is concerned, Apoc Dud, you know, it wasn't exactly a standout night from him, but end of the day, it wasn't really a standout night for anybody on his team. So it's kind of hard to really nitpick too much. Pretty tough game for these guys, obviously going up against BNK. So I don't necessarily feel like we need to harp on about it too much there. Really, the big takeaway is, you know, clean 2-0 for BNK. Even with that roster change coming through, it doesn't seem to have caused them too many issues. Yeah,
I'd agree with that, and I think, yeah, I agree with you. I'm keeping my eye on what they're going to do with their roster. Especially given the fact that they came off of that Pro League appearance, and they are kind of contesting that number 2 spot in Australia quite closely with Rooster, who are also looking shaky here in 2024 so far. So look, we'll keep our eyes on things and see what happens with their 5th player, and also what happens towards the end of this Challenger League season, and who's going to be the Pro League representatives this time around.
Yeah, indeed. All right, well, it's time for us to say goodbye, but not for a long time, because we'll be back for Asia in, I would say, about an hour and a half, 2 hours, something like that. Whatever it is, doesn't really matter. You guys will figure it out. We'll see you there, and we'll hope to see you in a little bit, but have a good night if not, so catch you then.